The millionaire froze when he heard the waitress play his missing daughter's violin. The mansion gleamed under golden lights that Friday night, every chandelier casting perfect shadows across marble floors that had seen 1,000 galas just like this one. Michael Sullivan stood near the grand window, a crystal glass of scotch in his hand, watching businessmen and politicians mingle like they always did, smiling, laughing, making deals that would shape cities. At 54, Michael had mastered the art of looking engaged while feeling nothing at all. He'd built an empire. Sullivan Hotels stretched across 23 states, each property a monument to luxury and precision. Forbes called him the architect of modern American hospitality. Wall Street analysts praised his quarterly earnings like they were reading scripture. But none of it mattered. Not really. Michael took a sip of his drink, the amber liquid burning just enough to remind him he was still alive. 20 years. God, had it really been 20 years? Mr. Sullivan, wonderful event as always, someone said, patting his shoulder. Michael nodded, smiled that practiced smile, and watched the man disappear back into the crowd. He didn't even remember the guy's name. The orchestra played something classical. Mozart, maybe Vivaldi. Michael didn't care much for music anymore. Music had died in his house a long time ago, packed away in a dusty case alongside memories he couldn't afford to keep unpacking. He was about to excuse himself, maybe slip into his study for some peace and quiet, when he heard it. A violin, simple, delicate, cutting through the noise of conversation like a blade through silk. Michael froze. The melody was soft at first, almost shy, as if the musician wasn't sure anyone wanted to hear it. But then it grew, filling the spaces between words, wrapping around the columns and crystal and the hearts of people who'd forgotten what it meant to really listen. Michael's fingers went slack. The crystal glass slipped from his hand and shattered against the marble floor, the sound sharp and violent in the sudden silence that followed. Conversations stopped. Heads turned, but Michael didn't notice any of it. He only heard that song, La Noche Serena, his grandmother's lullaby, the one she'd sung to him as a boy in her small house in Puebla, her voice cracking with age but still beautiful, the one she'd taught him, made him promise to pass down, the one he'd hummed to his daughter when she couldn't sleep, her tiny hand gripping his finger, the one Isabella had learned to play on that little red violin when she was 6 years old, before she disappeared, before everything fell apart. Michael's breath caught in his chest. His heart hammered so hard he thought it might break through his ribs. No, it couldn't be. That song had never been published, never recorded. It existed only in memories and family tradition, passed down through generations like a secret handshake. How could someone here know it? He turned slowly, scanning the room, following the sound like a man possessed. And there, in the corner near the bronze floor lamp, stood a young woman in a server's uniform, black slacks, white button-down shirt, hair pulled back in a simple bun. She held a violin. Her eyes were closed, her face serene, completely absorbed in the music. The bow moved across the strings with a confidence that seemed to contradict her humble position, each note deliberate and achingly familiar. Michael felt his legs weaken. That face, Jesus Christ, that face. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think. He moved toward her like he was sleepwalking, weaving between guests who'd started whispering, pointing at the broken glass, at him, at the girl with the violin. She was young, mid-20s maybe. Her features were delicate, refined, high cheekbones, a small, straight nose, and when she finally opened her eyes as the last note faded into silence, Michael saw them, gray-green, like storm clouds over the ocean, like his, like Isabella's. "I'm so sorry, sir," the young woman said quickly, noticing him standing there, staring. Her voice was soft, almost apologetic. "I know I wasn't supposed to play. My boss said to keep a low profile, but the violin was just sitting there by the coat check, and I thought, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have." Michael opened his mouth, but no words came out. His throat had closed up, every rational thought in his head scrambling to make sense of what he was seeing, what he was hearing, where. He finally managed, his voice barely a whisper. "Where did you learn that song?" The girl blinked. Surprised by the question, she glanced down at the violin, then back at him. I don't really know, sir. I've always known it, I guess. Ever since I can remember. This melody's just been in my head. My adoptive mom used to say I'd hum it as a kid, but she never knew where I'd heard it. Adoptive. The word hit Michael like a freight train. "What's your name?" he asked, taking a step closer. "Valerie, sir. Valerie Dalton. Valerie, not Isabella." But that face, that song, those eyes. Michael felt the room tilt. His vision blurred at the edges. Someone nearby asked if he was all right, but he waved them off, never taking his eyes off the girl. Do you know who I am?" he asked. Valerie shook her head. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't. Should I?" "No," Michael said quickly. "No, it's fine. That song. It's very special to me. It's special to me too," Valerie said quietly, a sad smile crossing her face. "I don't know why, but whenever I play it, it feels like I'm remembering something I've forgotten. Does that make sense?" It made perfect sense. Too much sense. Michael excused himself before he completely lost it. He pushed through the crowd, ignoring concerned looks and questions, and locked himself in his study upstairs. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely turn the key. He collapsed into the leather chair behind his desk and buried his face in his hands. Isabella, 20 years ago, she'd vanished during a weekend visit to the family's ranch in Montana. One moment she was playing in the garden, chasing butterflies between the apple trees. The next, she was gone. No witnesses, no ransom note, no body. The FBI had searched for months. Private investigators had burned through millions of dollars. Every lead turned cold. Every hope turned to ash. His wife, Claire, had died 5 years later. The doctors said it was heart failure, but Michael knew better. Her heart hadn't failed. It had given up. She'd spent 5 years crying herself to sleep, staring at Isabella's empty bedroom, waiting for a little girl who would never come home. And Michael, he'd survived. That's what people called it. Surviving. But surviving wasn't living. It was just existing, going through the motions, building hotels and making money because he didn't know what else to do. He'd searched for years, hired the best investigators money could buy, followed every lead, no matter how thin. Twice, he'd thought he'd found her. Girls with similar features, similar ages. Both times, DNA tests had crushed his hope. Eventually, he'd stopped looking, not because he stopped caring, but because the hoping was killing him. And now this. A girl who played a song nobody should know. A girl with his eyes. A girl who'd been adopted. Michael pulled out his phone with trembling fingers and dialed Robert Hayes, his attorney and oldest friend. "Robert," he said when the man answered, "I need you to find out everything you can about someone. Her name is Valerie Dalton. She's a server, works for the catering company we hired tonight. I need her full background, birth records, adoption papers, everything." "Michael," Robert's voice carried concern. "What's going on? Just do it, please." There was a pause. "You've been down this road before." "I know. And it broke you twice." "I know, Robert. But this time," Michael looked at the framed photograph on his desk. Isabella at 6 years old, holding that little red violin, her smile bright enough to light up the world. "This time is different." "How?" "She played the song, Robert. She played La Noche Serena. Nobody knows that song." The line went quiet for a long moment. "I'll make some calls," Robert finally said. "Give me a few days." Michael hung up and stared at the photograph until his vision blurred with tears. Outside, the party continued. Music played. People laughed. But Michael Sullivan sat alone in his study, holding on to a hope he'd buried 20 years ago, terrified of what he might find, and even more terrified of what he might lose. Michael didn't sleep that night. He tried. God knows he tried. But every time he closed his eyes, he saw her. Valerie. Isabella. The line between the two had blurred so completely that he couldn't tell where memory ended and hope began. At 3 a.m, he gave up and went downstairs to his office. The mansion was quiet, the cleaning crew long gone, the evidence of the gala erased as if the night had never happened. But Michael couldn't erase what he'd heard, what he'd seen. He sat at his desk and pulled out the old file, the one he kept locked in the bottom drawer, the one he swore he'd stop opening years ago. Isabella's case file, thick with police reports, witness statements, FBI documents, and dead ends. So many dead ends. He flipped through photographs, search parties combing through Montana forests, his own face haggard with grief, Claire's red-rimmed eyes staring at nothing, and Isabella, always Isabella, her school pictures, her medical records, the last photo taken of her alive, grinning in her yellow sundress on the ranch porch, 6 years old. That's all she'd been. Just 6. His phone buzzed at 7 a.m. Robert, tell me you found something, Michael said, skipping the pleasantries. I found something, Robert replied, but his tone carried a warning. Not sure if it's what you want to hear. Just tell me. Valerie Dalton, 26 years old, grew up in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Spent her early childhood in St. Catherine's Home for Children. That's an orphanage on the south side. She was adopted at age 7 by a woman named Teresa Dalton, a seamstress who died 3 years ago. Cancer. Michael's grip tightened on the phone. What about before the orphanage? That's where it gets murky. There's no birth certificate, no hospital records, no paper trail before she showed up at St. Catherine's. The orphanage records just say she was found abandoned in a neighboring town. Non-verbal, possibly traumatized. They estimated her age at around 6 or 7. Michael's heart hammered in his chest. 6 or 7. The timeline fit. It all fit. What else? He pressed. Not much. She worked her way through community college, got an associate's degree in hospitality management, but couldn't afford to finish her bachelor's. Been working service jobs ever since. No criminal record, no debts, no red flags. From everything I can see, she's just a regular girl trying to make ends meet. Did you get the address? Michael, did you get it? Robert sighed. Yeah, I got it. Small apartment in downtown Albuquerque. But listen to me. You need to be careful here. You've been down this road before. Remember Sarah Mitchell, Emily Rodriguez? Both times you were convinced, and both times... I know, Michael interrupted, his jaw tight. I know, but they didn't play the song. Robert, they didn't have her eyes. Eyes can be a coincidence. Genetics are complicated. Not this complicated. There was a long pause on the line. Michael could hear Robert breathing, weighing his words carefully. What do you want me to do? Robert finally asked. I want you to arrange a meeting. Tell her. Tell her I want to offer her a job, something better than catering work, something that'll keep her close while we figure this out. And if she says no? She won't, Michael said, though he wasn't sure if he believed it. Who turns down a chance like that? Someone who's got nothing to hide, Robert said pointedly. Or someone who's got everything to hide. Either way, you need to prepare yourself for disappointment. I've been disappointed for 20 years, Robert. I think I can handle a little more. But as he hung up, Michael wondered if that was true. How much more could one man take before he broke completely? 3 days later, Valerie Dalton sat across from him in his office, looking uncomfortable in a borrowed blazer that was slightly too big for her frame. She'd come alone, taking the bus from Albuquerque, and Michael had watched her walk up the long driveway with her shoulders squared like she was preparing for battle. Thank you for coming, Michael said, gesturing to the chair. I hope the trip wasn't too difficult. It was fine, Valerie said, perching on the edge of the seat, her hands twisted together in her lap, and Michael recognized the nervous gesture instantly. Isabella used to do the same thing when she was anxious. I'll get straight to the point, Michael continued, forcing himself to focus. I was impressed by your performance at the gala, not just your musical ability, but the way you carried yourself. I'm looking for someone to help coordinate cultural events at my hotels. Live music, art exhibitions, that sort of thing. The position comes with a significant salary increase and full benefits. Valerie blinked, clearly taken aback. Mr. Sullivan, I appreciate the offer, but I don't have any formal training. I never finished my degree. I'm just a waitress who plays violin in her spare time. You have something better than training, Michael said. You have instinct, natural talent. That can't be taught. She bit her lower lip, another gesture that made Michael's chest tighten. I don't know what to say. Say yes, he said, keeping his voice steady. Take a chance on yourself. When's the last time someone gave you one? The question hung in the air between them. Valerie looked down at her hands, and for a moment, Michael saw something flicker across her face. Pain, maybe. Or longing. All right, she said quietly. Yes, I'll take the job. Good. Michael stood and extended his hand. Welcome to Sullivan Hotels. Miss Dalton. Her handshake was firm, despite her obvious nervousness. As her fingers touched his, Michael felt an electric jolt run through him. Not romantic, nothing like that. Something deeper, something fundamental. This was his daughter. He knew it in his bones. But he couldn't tell her. Not yet. Not without proof. That afternoon, while Valerie filled out paperwork with Honor, Michael met with Robert in the private conference room. His attorney spread several documents across the table, his expression grim. I contacted a lab, Robert said. Discreet? Reliable? They can run a DNA test if you can get a sample. How? Hair, saliva, skin cells, anything will work. A glass she drinks from, a tissue she uses. Just bag it carefully and get it to me. Michael nodded slowly. How long for results? 10 days? Maybe 2 weeks? 2 weeks? Michael could barely stand 2 hours of not knowing. There's something else, Robert added. I did some digging on Teresa Dalton, the woman who adopted her, widowed in her 40s, no kids of her own, worked as a seamstress her whole life. Modest income, clean record. But here's the thing. There's no record of her ever going through official adoption channels, no court documents, no agency paperwork. It's like Valerie just appeared in her life. How is that possible? In the late 90s, early 2000s, small-town New Mexico, easier than you'd think. Private adoptions happened all the time, especially with kids who came through orphanages. Some of those places played fast and loose with the rules. Michael felt his hands curl into fists. So someone could have just handed Isabella over to this woman, and nobody would have questioned it. Theoretically, yes. Find out everything you can about Teresa Dalton, where she worked, who she knew, bank records from 20 years ago, everything. Michael, Robert said carefully, even if Valerie is Isabella, you're going to need to be patient. You can't just drop this bomb on her, she doesn't remember. She's built a whole life as someone else. I know, Michael said, though everything in him screamed to tell her the truth right now. I'll wait, but not forever. Robert gathered his papers. I'll get started on the background check. In the meantime, get that DNA sample, and try not to scare the poor girl off before we know for sure. After Robert left, Michael stood at the window overlooking the gardens. Somewhere in the building below, Valerie was signing contracts, choosing a start date, beginning a new chapter of her life. She had no idea she might be stepping back into an old one. Michael pressed his palm against the cold glass and closed his eyes. Please, he thought, please let it be her. He'd spent 20 years praying for a miracle. Maybe, just maybe, God had finally decided to listen. Valerie started work the following Monday. Michael had assigned her a small office on the 3rd floor. Nothing fancy, just a desk, a computer, and a window that overlooked the West Gardens. He'd told himself it was practical, keeping her close for training purposes, but the truth was simpler and more complicated. He couldn't bear to have her too far away. He watched her from his office window that first morning. Carrying a cardboard box of personal items up the front steps, she wore simple black slacks and a cream-colored blouse, her hair pulled back in that same practical bun. Professional, modest, nothing like the designer clothes and luxury cars that filled his parking lot every day. She looked so small against the massive stone facade of the Sullivan building, fragile even, but there was something in the way she held her chin up, the way her shoulders stayed square despite the weight of that box, that reminded Michael of Claire. His wife had been small too, but tough as steel when she needed to be. You're staring? Robert said from the doorway. Michael turned. I'm observing there's a difference. Sure there is. Robert walked in and set a folder on the desk. HR called. She's all set up. Start date, benefits package, the works. They said she seemed grateful, but overwhelmed. Did you get it? Robert's expression shifted. The DNA sample. Yeah. She used the coffee mug in the break room during orientation. I bagged it personally. He pulled a sealed evidence bag from his briefcase. I'll have it to the lab by this afternoon. Michael took the bag, staring at the lipstick mark on the rim of the white ceramic mug. Such a small thing, such an ordinary thing, but it might hold the answer to 20 years of questions. 10 days. Robert reminded him. Try to stay sane until then. No promises. Over the next week, Michael found excuses to work with Valerie, review the event calendar, discuss vendor contracts, tour the hotel properties. Every interaction gave him another piece of the puzzle. Another glimpse of the girl who might be his daughter. She was polite to everyone, almost painfully so. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. Thank you so much. Like she was afraid of taking up too much space in the world. It broke his heart. But when she talked about music, something changed. Her eyes lit up. Her voice grew stronger. She'd lean forward in her chair, hands moving as she described the way a violin could capture emotion that words couldn't touch. Music is memory, she said one afternoon in his office. They were planning a charity concert for the downtown hotel, and she'd been sketching ideas on a notepad. Even when you don't remember the words or the moment, your body remembers the feeling, you know. Michael nodded slowly. I do. Sometimes I'll be walking down the street, and I'll hear something. A bird singing, wind chimes, whatever. And suddenly I'm crying and I don't even know why. She laughed, embarrassed. Sorry, that probably sounds crazy. It doesn't sound crazy at all. She looked up at him then, really looked at him. And Michael had to grip the edge of his desk to keep from reaching across and taking her hand. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sullivan? Of course. Why did you hire me, really? Her voice was quiet but direct. I know you said it was about talent, but you could have hired someone with actual credentials, someone with a degree and experience. Why take a chance on me? Michael considered his words carefully. Have you ever met someone and felt like you'd known them before? Not in a past life way. Just something familiar. Something right. Valerie's expression shifted. Yes, she whispered. Actually, yes. That's why. They sat in silence for a moment, something unspoken passing between them. Then Valerie's phone buzzed, breaking the spell, and she apologized and checked the message. I should get back to work, she said, standing. Thank you again, Mr. Sullivan, for everything. Call me Michael, he said. Mr. Sullivan was my father. She smiled, a real smile this time, and left. Michael sat there long after she'd gone, staring at the notepad she'd left behind. Her handwriting was neat, precise, each letter carefully formed, just like Isabella's had been in those early grade school assignments he still kept in a box somewhere. On Thursday, Michael invited Valerie to lunch. Nothing formal, he'd said, just a working meal to discuss the upcoming events. They went to a small Italian place downtown, the kind of restaurant where the owner knew Michael by name but didn't make a fuss. This is nice, Valerie said, looking around at the checkered tablecloths and wine bottles lining the walls. I don't eat out much. Why not? She shrugged. Budget, mostly. And I guess I'm used to being on the other side of things, serving people, not being served. You should get used to it, Michael said. You've earned it. The waiter brought menus and bread, and they ordered. Pasta for her, chicken for him, though Michael barely tasted anything when it arrived. He was too focused on watching her, listening to her, memorizing every detail. Tell me about growing up in Santa Fe, he said, trying to sound casual. Valerie twisted her napkin in her lap. That gesture again. There's not much to tell. The orphanage was fine. I mean, it wasn't terrible or anything. The staff was nice, but it was lonely, you know. Lots of kids. But everyone was so wrapped up in their own stuff. When were you adopted? When I was 7, Teresa, my mom, she came in one day looking for help with alterations at her shop. I was in the common room, and I guess we just connected, she said. I reminded her of someone. Valerie's eyes grew distant. She was good to me, really good. I wish you could have met her. What happened to her? Pancreatic cancer, 3 years ago. It was fast. She blinked rapidly. Sorry, I don't usually talk about this. Don't apologize, Michael said gently. Grief is important. It means you loved her. I did. She was all I had. What about before the orphanage? Do you remember anything? Valerie was quiet for a long moment, staring at her plate. Not really. I've tried. God knows I've tried. But it's like there's this wall in my head, and I can't get past it. The social worker said it was trauma-related, that sometimes kids block things out when something bad happens. Michael's chest tightened. Do you have dreams? Memories that feel like they might be real? She looked up sharply. How did you know? Just a guess. Valerie set down her fork. Sometimes I dream about a garden, a big one, with apple trees and white flowers everywhere. And there's a voice, a man's voice, calling me something. But I can never quite make out the words. It feels important, though, like I should remember. Michael's throat closed. He knew that garden. He'd planted half those apple trees himself. The voice? He managed. What does it sound like? Warm, she said softly. Safe, like home. She shook her head. But that doesn't make sense, right? Because I don't remember having a home before Teresa. Michael wanted to tell her. Right there, in that moment. He wanted to grab her hands and tell her everything. You did have a home. You had parents who loved you. You had me. But he couldn't. Not without proof. Not without being absolutely certain. Maybe you will remember, he said instead. Someday. Maybe, Valerie said, though she didn't sound convinced. They finished lunch and walked back to the office together. As they crossed the parking lot, a gust of wind caught Valerie's hair, pulling a few strands loose from her bun. She reached up to tuck them back, and Michael saw it, a small birthmark just behind her left ear, crescent-shaped, like a tiny moon. Isabella had the same birthmark in the exact same spot. Michael's vision blurred. He stumbled slightly, catching himself against a parked car. Are you okay? Valerie asked, concerned. Fine, he said. Just dizzy for a second? Low blood sugar? Probably, but it wasn't low blood sugar. It was certainty. That night, Michael called Robert. How much longer on the DNA results? Should be Monday. Why, what happened? She has the birthmark, Robert, behind her left ear. Exactly where Isabella's was. Michael, I know what you're going to say. I know, but I'm telling you. It's her. Robert sighed. 4 more days. Can you wait 4 more days? Michael looked at the photograph on his desk. Isabella's gap-toothed smile frozen in time. I've waited 20 years, he said. I guess I can wait 4 more days. But those 4 days felt like 4 lifetimes. The next 4 days dragged like years. Michael threw himself into work, signed contracts he barely read, attended meetings where he contributed nothing meaningful. His assistant asked twice if he was feeling well. His VP of operations suggested he take a vacation. Even the board members noticed something was off during Thursday's conference call. But how could he explain? How could he tell anyone that he was waiting for proof that his dead daughter might actually be alive? He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time his phone rang, his heart jumped into his throat, but it was never Robert. Just business calls, vendors, investors, people who wanted pieces of him that he didn't have left to give. Valerie, meanwhile, settled into her new role with quiet efficiency. She'd already coordinated 3 events, each one more successful than the last. The staff loved her. Guests complimented her taste. She was good at this, better than Michael had even hoped. On Friday afternoon, she knocked on his office door holding a violin case. Sorry to bother you, she said, but we're having the soft opening for the new rooftop venue tonight, and I thought maybe I could play, if that's not too presumptuous. I think that's a wonderful idea, Michael said. Would you come? The question came out quickly, almost shyly. I know you're busy, but it would mean a lot to have you there. You're the one who gave me this chance. Michael felt his chest tighten. I wouldn't miss it. That evening, he stood at the back of the rooftop terrace as Valerie played for the small crowd of investors and VIP guests. She'd chosen a mix of classical pieces, some Vivaldi, some Bach, but at the end, she played it. La Noche Serena. Michael closed his eyes and let the music wash over him. It was perfect. Every note exactly as he remembered, as if Isabella had stepped out of the past and into this moment. When it ended, the crowd applauded enthusiastically. Valerie smiled and bowed, but her eyes found Michael's across the space. She knew. Maybe she didn't know what she knew, but she felt it. That connection. That impossible familiarity. Michael excused himself before anyone could see the tears threatening to spill. Monday morning arrived like a death sentence. Michael was at his desk by 6, unable to stay home any longer. He watched the clock. 7, 8, 9. At 9:47, Robert called. I'm on my way up, was all he said. Michael stood and paced. His hands shook. His heart hammered so hard he thought he might be having a heart attack. Maybe he was. Maybe this was how it ended. Waiting for an answer he'd die before hearing. Robert walked in carrying a manila envelope. His face was unreadable. "Just tell me," Michael said. "Don't sugarcoat it. Don't prepare me. Just tell me." Robert set the envelope on the desk. "You should sit down." "I don't want to sit down. I want you to tell me if that girl is my daughter." "Michael, tell me." Robert opened the envelope and pulled out a single sheet of paper. The lab ran the test twice. They wanted to be absolutely certain. And 99,097% genetic compatibility, father and daughter. No question. The room tilted. Michael's knees buckled, and he grabbed the edge of the desk to keep from falling. Robert rushed forward, steadying him, but Michael barely felt it. All he could feel was the weight lifting from his chest. 20 years of crushing, suffocating weight, gone in an instant. "She's alive," he whispered. "Isabella's alive." "Yes. She's been alive this whole time." "Yes." Michael's vision blurred. Tears streamed down his face, and he didn't bother wiping them away. He thought about Claire, about how she'd died believing their daughter was gone forever, about all the nights he'd spent searching, hoping, praying, about the moments he'd considered giving up but couldn't. "Thank God," he said, his voice breaking. "Thank God." Robert guided him to the chair and poured a glass of water from the bar. "Drink this." Michael's hands trembled so badly he could barely hold the glass. He took a sip and set it down. "What do I do now?" "How do I tell her?" "Carefully," Robert said. "Very carefully. She doesn't remember, Michael. To her, she's Valerie Dalton. She has no memory of being Isabella Sullivan. If you drop this on her too fast, you could lose her all over again. I can't lose her again. I can't. Then you need to be smart about this. Build trust first. Let her get comfortable. Then, when the time is right, you tell her the truth with proof and patience." Michael looked at the DNA report, the numbers and technical language that proved what his heart had known from the moment he heard that song. "How long?" "I don't know. A few weeks, maybe. Long enough that she doesn't run. What if she doesn't believe me? Then you show her the evidence, the DNA, the photos, the police reports, everything. But Michael," Robert's voice turned serious, "you need to prepare yourself for the possibility that even with proof, she might not want this. She's built a life, an identity. You're asking her to accept that everything she knows is a lie. It's not a lie, it's the truth. To you, yes. To her, it might feel like the same thing." Michael stood and walked to the window. Down below, he could see the gardens where he'd spent so many afternoons with Isabella, teaching her about flowers, pushing her on the swing, listening to her laugh. "I have to try," he said. "I owe that to Claire. I owe it to Isabella. Just promise me you'll be patient." "I promise." But even as he said it, Michael knew patience had never been his strength. He'd waited 20 years. How much longer could he possibly wait? That afternoon, Michael called Valerie to his office. She arrived looking worried, probably thinking she'd done something wrong. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Everything's fine," Michael assured her. "Better than fine, actually. I wanted to tell you that you're doing an exceptional job." The feedback from Friday night was overwhelming. Relief washed over her face. "Thank you. That means a lot. I also wanted to ask if you'd be interested in taking on a bigger role, head of cultural programming for all Sullivan properties. It would mean more responsibility, more travel, but also significant compensation." Valerie's eyes widened. "Mr. Sullivan, Michael, I've only been here 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, you've proven yourself more than most people do in 2 years. So what do you say?" She bit her lower lip, thinking, "Can I ask you something first?" "Of course. Why are you doing this? And please don't say it's just because I'm good at my job. There's something else. I can feel it." Michael's heart raced. She was perceptive. Too perceptive. He had to be careful. "You remind me of someone," he said carefully. "Someone very important to me who I lost a long time ago. Being around you, it feels like getting a piece of that person back. I know that probably sounds strange." Valerie's expression softened. "It doesn't sound strange. After my mom died, I couldn't be around seamstresses for months. The smell of fabric, the sound of sewing machines. It hurt too much, but also, in a way, it helped. Like she was still there. Somehow. Exactly. She nodded slowly. All right, I'll take the position. But on one condition. Name it. If I mess up, if I'm not what you need, you tell me. Don't keep me around out of sentiment. Deal. Michael extended his hand. Deal. As they shook, Michael held on for just a moment longer than necessary, studying her face. Those eyes, that birthmark, the way she tilted her head when she was thinking. His daughter, his little star. Soon, he'd tell her. Soon she'd know the truth. But for now, he'd savor this, having her close, having her safe, having her alive. The rest could wait. Veronica Sullivan had always been good at reading people. It was a survival skill she'd developed young, growing up in Michael's shadow. While he charmed investors and commanded rooms, she'd learned to watch from the corners, noting who wielded real power and who just pretended. So when her brother started acting strange 3 weeks ago, she noticed. The way he stared out windows during board meetings, the distracted responses to direct questions, the unusual frequency of visits to the 3rd floor, where that new girl worked. What was her name? Valerie. Something? Veronica had dismissed it at first. Michael went through phases. Grief did that to people, made them fixate on things. But when she saw him having lunch with the girl, just the two of them at Antonio's, laughing over pasta like old friends, something cold settled in her stomach. She made a call. I need you to look into someone, she told Marcus Chen, the private investigator she'd used for years. Discreet, thorough, expensive. Her name is Valerie Dalton. She works for my brother. I want to know everything. Where she came from. What she wants. Why Michael's suddenly obsessed with her. Obsessed is a strong word, Marcus said. Just do it. 3 days later, Marcus called back. You're not going to like this, he said. Veronica listened as he explained. The DNA test, the lab results, the 99,097% match. Isabella, after 20 years, somehow, impossibly, Isabella. Veronica hung up and stared at her office wall, her mind racing through calculations and consequences. This changed everything. If Michael reunited with his daughter, if the prodigal child returned, where did that leave Veronica? She'd spent 2 decades building her position in the company. After Isabella disappeared and Claire died, Michael had been a shell, functional but hollow. The board had looked to Veronica for stability. She'd earned their trust, expanded her influence, secured her future, and now this girl threatened all of it. No, not just threatened. If Valerie really was Isabella, Michael would give her everything. The hotels, the money, the legacy. Blood always won in the end, unless Veronica stopped it. She started small, subtle. Comments dropped during executive meetings when Michael wasn't present. Have you noticed how quickly the new cultural director has risen? She mentioned to David Kim, the CFO. 2 weeks, and she's already got a VP-level position. Makes you wonder what qualifications she really has. Michael seems confident in her, David replied. Michael's been known to make impulsive decisions when he's emotionally invested. Remember the Mitchell girl, or Rodriguez? David frowned. Those were different situations. Were they? Veronica let the question hang. She planted seeds with the HR director too. I'm concerned about the optics. We promote a young woman with minimal experience to a senior role right after she meets the CEO at a party. Legal might have questions about favoritism. Just something to consider. Word spread. Whispers traveled through the building. By the end of the week, half the executive team was questioning Valerie's qualifications, and the other half was defending Michael's judgment. But whispers weren't enough. Veronica needed something concrete. She had Marcus dig deeper into Teresa Dalton's background, the woman who'd adopted Valerie, the seamstress from Santa Fe who died 3 years ago. There's not much, Marcus reported. Worked at a dry cleaner's most of her life. Quiet woman, no criminal record. But what? I found employment records from 22 years ago. She worked briefly for a cleaning service that contracted with several companies. One of them was Sullivan Industries. Your personal office specifically. Veronica's blood ran cold. Teresa had worked for her 20 years ago, right around the time Isabella disappeared. Send me everything, she said. The pieces clicked together like a nightmare. She remembered Teresa now, a mousy woman with sad eyes who'd cleaned the executive offices for a few months before quitting. Veronica had barely noticed her, but she'd been there. She'd had access. And somehow, she'd ended up with Isabella. Had Teresa been involved in the kidnapping, or had someone given her the child? Veronica thought back to that summer 20 years ago. Michael and Claire had been at the Montana ranch. Veronica had been handling business in New York when the call came about Isabella's disappearance. She'd flown out immediately, played the concerned aunt perfectly. She'd been so careful. The plan had been simple. Hire someone to take the girl, traumatize her enough that she'd forget her old life, place her somewhere far away, not to hurt Isabella, just to break Michael, to make him vulnerable enough that Veronica could step in and take control. It had worked, better than she'd imagined. Claire had died. Michael had become a workaholic ghost, and Veronica had built an empire on his grief. But she'd made a mistake. She hadn't confirmed that Isabella's memories were truly gone, hadn't followed up to make sure the trail was completely cold. And now that mistake was walking through Michael's building, playing violin, threatening everything Veronica had built. She needed Michael to doubt, not just question, truly doubt. Veronica called a friend at a document forgery service. I need papers that show someone researched another person online. Search history, social media activity, the works. Make it look organic but damning. How damning? Damning enough to break someone's heart. The documents arrived by courier 2 days later. Perfect forgeries showing that Valerie had researched Michael extensively before the gala. Google searches for Michael Sullivan net worth, Sullivan Hotels CEO family, how to meet wealthy people, social media posts about wanting a better life. All fake, but convincing. Veronica arranged a family dinner, just her and Michael like old times. "You seem happier lately," she said over wine. "It's good to see." "I am," Michael admitted. "Things are changing in a good way." "It's the girl, isn't it, Valerie?" He smiled. "She's remarkable." "She is," Veronica agreed carefully. "Though I have to admit, I've been concerned." "About what?" "Michael, I love you. You're my brother. So I'm going to be honest even though it might hurt." She pulled out the forged documents. "Someone on the security team flagged these, apparently. Valerie researched you extensively before the gala. Your net worth, your family tragedy, everything." Michael's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" I didn't want to believe it either, but look. She spread the papers across the table. These are from her laptop. Search histories, saved articles. She knew exactly who you were before she played that violin. "No." Michael's voice was hollow. "She said she didn't know. She lied, Michael. I'm sorry, but she lied. This doesn't make sense. Why would she? Money, opportunity, a wealthy, grieving man obsessed with finding his lost daughter." Veronica's voice was gentle poison. "You've been targeted before. Remember Sarah Mitchell? She researched you too, learned about Isabella, figured out how to play you. Valerie's not like that." "How do you know?" "You've known her 3 weeks." Michael stared at the documents, his hands trembling. Veronica could see the war behind his eyes. Hope fighting paranoia, love battling self-preservation. "I just thought you should know," she said softly. "What you do with this information is up to you. But please, Michael, protect yourself. You've been hurt enough." She left the documents on the table and walked out, her heart pounding with satisfaction and guilt in equal measure. By morning, the seeds of doubt would have taken root, and by week's end, Valerie would be gone. Michael sat alone at the table long after Veronica left. The forged documents spread before him like accusations. His mind spun through every conversation with Valerie, searching for lies he'd missed. She'd seemed so genuine, so lost, so much like Isabella. But what if Veronica was right? What if he was being played again? He thought about the DNA test locked in his safe. Proof, scientific proof. But suddenly, even that felt uncertain. What if someone had tampered with it? What if Valerie had somehow switched the samples? No, that was paranoid, wasn't it? Michael grabbed the documents and went to his study. He'd confront her tomorrow, demand the truth. And depending on what she said, he'd either reveal everything or walk away forever. The thought of walking away from Isabella, if she really was Isabella, made him physically ill. But the thought of being betrayed again might actually kill him. He poured a drink and stared at the photograph of his daughter, wondering if the girl sleeping peacefully in her apartment downtown was the same person, or just another ghost wearing a familiar face. By dawn, he still didn't have an answer. Valerie arrived at work Tuesday morning carrying coffee and a folder of ideas for the winter concert series. She'd stayed up late sketching layouts, researching performers, calculating budgets. The job still felt surreal. Like any moment someone would tap her shoulder and say there'd been a mistake. That girls like her didn't get opportunities like this. But Michael believed in her. That meant something. Everything. Really? She knocked on his office door at 9 o'clock sharp. "Come in." His voice came through, flat and cold. Valerie's stomach dropped. Something was wrong. She could feel it in the air like static before a storm. Michael sat behind his desk. Documents spread before him. He didn't smile, didn't stand, just looked at her with eyes that had turned from warm to glacial overnight. "Sit down." "Valerie," she sat, clutching her folder. "Is everything okay? I need you to be honest with me." He pushed the papers across the desk. "Did you know who I was before the gala?" "What? No, She looked at the documents. Search histories, articles about Michael Sullivan, screenshots of social media posts she'd never written. Her stomach twisted. "I don't understand. What is this?" "These are from your laptop. Searches you made about me, my family, my net worth, days before the gala." "That's not possible." Valerie's hands shook as she picked up the papers. "I never searched for you. I didn't even know your name until you introduced yourself. So you're saying these are fake?" "Yes. I mean, I don't know how they exist. But I didn't do this, Michael. You have to believe me." "Do I?" His voice was sharp, cutting. "Because I've been down this road before, Valerie, twice. Women who researched my daughter's disappearance, learned how to manipulate me, said all the right things. Both times I believed them. Both times I was wrong." Tears burned Valerie's eyes. "I'm not manipulating you." "Then explain how you knew that song, La Noche Serena, a melody that was never published, never recorded. How did you know it?" "I told you. I've always known it since I was a child." "Convenient." The word hit like a slap. Valerie stood, the folder dropping from her lap, papers scattered across the floor, her concert ideas, her careful plans, all meaningless now. "I don't know what happened to you," she said, voice breaking. "I don't know why you're so convinced everyone's trying to hurt you. But I came here to do a job, to work hard and prove myself, not to steal from you or trick you or whatever you think I'm doing. The evidence suggests otherwise. Then your evidence is wrong." She was crying now. Couldn't help it. I thought maybe for once someone saw me. Really saw me. Not as a charity case or a lucky break, but as someone who could actually contribute something. But you're just like everyone else. You don't see me at all." Michael's expression flickered. Something that might have been doubt or regret, but then his jaw tightened. "I think it's best if you collect your things." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. "You're firing me. I'm releasing you from your contract. You'll receive 4 weeks severance." "I don't want your money." Valerie grabbed her purse, leaving the scattered papers on the floor. "I wanted..." Her voice broke. "It doesn't matter what I wanted." She walked to the door, then turned back. Michael sat rigid behind his desk, staring at the documents like they held answers he desperately needed. "For what it's worth," she said quietly, "I thought I felt something here. Like I belonged. Like maybe I'd finally found..." She stopped, shaking her head. "I guess I was wrong." She left before he could respond, before she completely fell apart. Valerie barely remembered the drive back to her apartment. Tears blurred her vision. Her hands shook on the steering wheel. By the time she pulled into her parking spot, she was sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. She'd been stupid to hope. Stupid to think someone like Michael Sullivan could see value in someone like her. She was just a waitress with a second-hand violin and impossible dreams. Inside her apartment, she looked around at the life she'd built. Small but clean, humble but hers. She'd been ready to leave it behind, step into something bigger. Now she was back where she started, except worse because she knew what she was missing. Her phone buzzed, a text from Michael's assistant about exit procedures and severance paperwork. Cold, professional, final. Valerie turned off her phone and curled up on her couch, violin case clutched to her chest like a shield. The instrument had been with her through everything. The orphanage, Teresa's death, every lonely night and uncertain morning. She opened the case and ran her fingers along the strings. Without thinking, she started playing La Noche Serena. The melody filled her small apartment, achingly beautiful and sad. She didn't know why she knew this song, didn't know where it came from or what it meant. But playing it had always brought her comfort, like someone was listening even when she was alone. As the last note faded, Valerie made a decision. She couldn't stay in Albuquerque, not anymore. Too many reminders of what she'd almost had. Too much pain in a city that suddenly felt hostile. She'd go back to Santa Fe, back to the small house where Teresa had raised her. It had been sitting empty since her mother's death, waiting for Valerie to figure out what to do with it. Maybe she'd finally go through Teresa's things. Maybe she'd find some peace. Or maybe she'd just run away again, like she always did when things got hard. Either way, she couldn't stay here. Michael sat in his office long after Valerie left, staring at the scattered papers on his floor, her concert plans, detailed notes about performers and venues and budgets, hours of work she'd done for a job she'd held less than a month. He picked up one of the pages. Her handwriting was neat, precise, professional. At the bottom, she'd written a small note. "Thank you for this opportunity. I won't let you down." Michael's chest tightened. He looked at the forged documents on his desk, then at Valerie's genuine work on the floor. Something didn't add up. The girl who'd written these careful notes, who'd stayed up late planning concerts, who'd cried when he accused her, that wasn't a con artist. That wasn't someone playing games. He pulled out his phone and called Robert. "I need you to verify something," he said. "Documents showing Valerie researched me before the gala. I need to know if they're authentic. Where did you get them?" Veronica. Silence on the other end. Then, "I'll look into it, but Michael, what did you do?" "I confronted her, fired her." "Jesus Christ." Robert's voice was sharp. "The DNA test proved she's your daughter and you fired her." "I had evidence. From Veronica, the sister who stands to lose everything if Isabella comes back into your life." "You didn't think that was suspicious?" Michael's stomach dropped. "You think Veronica forged them? I think you should pray she did, because if those documents are real and you just threw away your second chance with your daughter, I don't know how you come back from that." Michael hung up and grabbed his keys. He had to find Valerie, had to explain, apologize, make this right. But when he reached the parking lot, her car was already gone. He called her phone. It went straight to voicemail. He drove to her apartment. No answer at the door. A neighbor said she'd left an hour ago with a suitcase and her violin. Michael stood in the empty hallway, the truth crushing him like a physical weight. He'd lost her again, not to kidnappers or fate or time, to his own fear, his own inability to trust. He'd found his daughter after 20 years of searching, and he'd driven her away in less than a month. Michael returned to his car and sat in the driver's seat, hands gripping the wheel, fighting the urge to scream, or cry, or drive until he ran out of road. Instead, he called Robert back. "Find her," he said. "I don't care what it costs. Find her and tell me where she is." "What are you going to do?" "Whatever it takes to make this right." He just hoped it wasn't too late. That night, Michael sat in Isabella's old bedroom again, surrounded by toys and memories and ghosts. The little red violin mocked him from its shelf. He'd been given a miracle, his daughter, alive and well, and he'd destroyed it with suspicion and fear. Claire would have been ashamed of him. Hell, he was ashamed of himself. His phone buzzed, a text from Robert. "Documents are forgeries. Professional quality, but fake. Veronica's been playing you?" Michael closed his eyes and let the guilt wash over him. Veronica, his own sister. She'd known the truth and sabotaged it anyway. He'd deal with her later, right now. He needed to find Valerie. Wherever she'd gone, however far she'd run, he'd follow, because she was his daughter. And this time, he wouldn't let her disappear. Robert worked through the night. By Wednesday morning, his office looked like a war room. Documents pinned to whiteboards, bankers' boxes stacked in corners. His computer screen split between database searches and scanned files. He'd started with the forged documents Veronica had given Michael. Professional work, but not perfect. The metadata was scrubbed too clean. The timestamps didn't align with Valerie's actual internet service provider records. Most damning, the IP address traced back to a burner account created 3 days before Veronica's dinner with Michael. Someone had paid good money for this forgery, and Robert knew exactly who. But that was just the beginning. If Veronica had gone this far to discredit Valerie, there had to be more. Something bigger. Something she was desperate to hide. Robert pulled up employment records from 22 years ago, cross-referencing names against Sullivan Industries contractors. And there it was, Teresa Dalton, employed by CleanPro Services from March to August, 2 decades ago. CleanPro had contracted with Sullivan Industries, specifically with Veronica's executive office. The timeline made his blood run cold. Isabella disappeared in July. Teresa quit in August. 1 month later, she adopted a traumatized 7-year-old girl in Santa Fe with no paperwork trail. Jesus, Robert muttered, reaching for his phone. But before he could call Michael, something else caught his eye. A bank record. Teresa's account showed a deposit of $50,000 in July, the same month Isabella vanished. The money came from an offshore account that took Robert another 3 hours to trace. The account belonged to a shell company, the shell company's registered agent, a law firm that Veronica had used for discreet personal matters, according to Michael's old financial records. Robert sat back in his chair, the pieces clicking together with sickening clarity. Veronica hadn't just known about Isabella's kidnapping. She'd orchestrated it, paid for it, then spent 20 years covering her tracks. He grabbed his phone and called Michael. "Tell me you found something." Michael answered immediately. "More than something, Michael. You need to sit down." "I'm already sitting. Just tell me." Robert took a breath. "The documents Veronica gave you are forgeries. High quality, but fake. I traced the IP address back to an account created days before your dinner. She set you up. I already figured that much. There's more. Teresa Dalton, the woman who adopted Valerie, worked for Sullivan Industries 22 years ago. Specifically, she cleaned Veronica's office. She quit 1 month after Isabella disappeared." Silence on the line. Then quietly, "Keep going. Teresa received a $50,000 deposit in July, right when Isabella vanished. The money came from an offshore account connected to Veronica through a shell company." Robert paused. "Michael, this wasn't a random kidnapping. Veronica planned it. She paid Teresa to take Isabella." The line stayed silent so long Robert thought they'd been disconnected. "Michael, I'm here." His voice was hollow. "My own sister. She took my daughter. She destroyed my wife. She let me suffer for 20 years. And she..." His voice broke. "Why? I don't know. Control, money, jealousy. Does it matter? It matters because she's going to pay for every single second of what she did. We need more than bank records and employment history. We need something concrete that proves intent. Then find it. Dig through everything. I want her buried so deep she never sees daylight again." Robert hesitated. "What about Valerie? Have you found her?" "Not yet, but I will." Michael's voice hardened with determination. "After I deal with Veronica." Michael called an emergency board meeting for Thursday afternoon. No agenda specified, just mandatory attendance. Veronica arrived 15 minutes early, perfectly composed in a charcoal suit, her expression pleasantly neutral. She took her usual seat at the conference table, crossing her legs and checking her phone like this was any other meeting. Robert sat in the back corner, laptop open, ready. At 2 o'clock, Michael entered. He didn't sit, just stood at the head of the table, hands flat against the polished wood. "Thank you all for coming on short notice," he said. "This won't take long." The board members exchanged glances. Michael's tone was ice. 3 weeks ago, a young woman named Valerie Dalton joined our company. Some of you met her. Most of you heard rumors about her rapid promotion. His eyes swept the room, landing on Veronica. Those rumors came from a specific source. Veronica's expression didn't change, but her knuckles whitened around her phone. "What you don't know," Michael continued, "is that Valerie Dalton is actually Isabella Sullivan, my daughter, the daughter who was kidnapped 22 years ago and presumed dead." Gasps rippled through the room. The CFO leaned forward. "Michael, are you certain?" "DNA test confirmed 99.97% match. She's alive. She's been alive this whole time." His voice cracked slightly. And someone in this room knew. All eyes turned to Veronica. That's quite an accusation, she said calmly. Based on what evidence? Michael nodded to Robert, who stood and connected his laptop to the projector. Bank records appeared on the screen. Teresa Dalton, Robert said. The woman who adopted Isabella received $50,000 from an offshore account 1 month after the kidnapping. That account traces back to a shell company managed by... He clicked to the next slide. A law firm you've used for years, Veronica. Circumstantial, Veronica said, but her voice had lost some of its steadiness. There's more. Robert pulled up employment records. Teresa worked as a cleaner in your office in the months leading up to Isabella's disappearance. She quit 1 month after. Convenient timing. Still circumstantial. Then there are these. Robert displayed the forged documents. The papers you gave Michael showing Valerie had researched him before the gala. Professional forgeries traced back to an IP address registered days before you needed them. Almost like you'd planned it. Veronica's composure cracked. This is absurd. You're grasping at straws to... To what? Michael's voice cut like a whip. To what, Veronica? Explain to me why you'd need to forge evidence against a girl you claim to know nothing about. Explain the $50,000. Explain why a woman who cleaned your office ended up with my daughter. The room fell silent. Every eye was on Veronica now. She stood slowly, gathering her things. I don't have to explain anything. This is a witch hunt based on coincidence and grief-fueled paranoia. Sit down, Michael said quietly. No, I won't sit here and be accused. I said sit down. The roar echoed off the walls. Veronica froze. In 20 years of working together, Michael had never raised his voice at her, not once. She sat. Michael walked around the table until he stood directly in front of her. You took my daughter. You destroyed my wife. You let me spend 20 years in hell while you built your career on my grief. And when Isabella came back, when God gave me a miracle, you tried to take her away again. Michael, don't. His voice dropped to something dangerous. Don't say my name. Don't make excuses. Just tell me why. Veronica's mask finally shattered. Years of resentment poured out in a flood of words. Because you had everything, she shouted, standing. The company, the respect, the perfect family, and I had nothing. I was always the spare, the backup, the one nobody saw. I worked twice as hard and got half the credit. So yes, I made a choice. I hired someone to take Isabella somewhere safe, somewhere far away. I didn't hurt her, Michael. I made sure Teresa was good to her. I just needed you. Her voice broke. I needed you to fall apart so I could finally step out of your shadow. The room was dead silent. You got your wish, Michael said softly. I fell apart. My wife died. I spent 2 decades barely functioning. Congratulations, Veronica. You won. She looked at him, and for a moment, something like regret flickered across her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. Michael turned to Robert. Call the police. Charges are kidnapping. Conspiracy. Fraud. Everything you can make stick. Michael, please. Veronica reached for his arm. He jerked away like she'd burned him. Don't touch me. You're not my sister. You're a stranger who destroyed my family. 2 security guards entered at Robert's signal. They flanked Veronica, waiting. The board will vote on your removal, Michael told her. But that's just the beginning. I'll see you prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and when you're sitting in a cell, thinking about what you've lost, remember this. You did it to yourself. The guards escorted Veronica out. She didn't fight, just walked with her head down, shoulders slumped, looking smaller than Michael had ever seen her. When the door closed, Michael gripped the edge of the table, his legs suddenly weak. Michael, the CFO stood. Are you all right? No, Michael said honestly. But I will be. Meeting adjourned. That night, Michael sat in his study with a glass of scotch he couldn't drink. Justice should have felt satisfying. Veronica would face consequences. The truth was out, but none of it mattered if he couldn't find Valerie. His phone rang. Robert, I found her, Robert said. Santa Fe. She's at Teresa Dalton's old house. Michael was already grabbing his keys. Send me the address. Michael, it's a 5-hour drive. Maybe wait until morning. Send me the address, Robert. A pause. Then, sending now, Good luck. Michael hung up and stared at Isabella's photograph one more time. I'm coming, baby girl, he whispered. I'm sorry I failed you, but I'm coming. He walked out into the night, climbed into his car, and started driving. This time he wouldn't stop until he brought his daughter home. The 5-hour drive to Santa Fe felt like crossing into another world. Michael left behind glass towers and perfectly manicured lawns, trading them for desert landscapes painted in shades of rust and gold. Mountains rose in the distance like ancient sentinels, and the sky stretched endless and impossibly blue. He'd made this drive once before. Years ago, following a lead that went nowhere. Back then, he'd returned empty-handed and hollow. This time would be different. It had to be. His phone rang as he passed through Albuquerque. Robert. The police arrested Veronica an hour ago, Robert said without preamble. They're charging her with kidnapping, conspiracy, wire fraud, and obstruction of justice. The DA thinks they can make everything stick. Good, Michael said, though the word felt hollow. No amount of jail time would give him back the 20 years Veronica stole. There's more. Teresa Dalton kept records. A journal, apparently. The police found it in storage. Veronica's name is all over it. Payments, instructions, everything. Teresa documented her guilt. Michael's hands tightened on the wheel. Why would she do that? Guilt. Maybe insurance. Who knows? But it's damning. Veronica's lawyer is already talking plea deals. I don't want a deal. I want a trial. I want the world to know exactly what she did. Michael? No deals, Robert. She doesn't get to hide from this. Understood. What about you? Where are you? Almost to Santa Fe. And if Valerie doesn't want to see you, Michael had asked himself the same question 100 times during the drive. Then I'll wait on her porch until she does. I'll camp in her driveway if I have to. I'm not leaving without talking to her. Good luck, Robert said quietly. You're going to need it. Michael pulled up to Teresa Dalton's house just after 8 p.m. It was a small adobe structure on a quiet street lined with cottonwood trees, their leaves rustling in the evening breeze. A single light glowed in the front window. She was home. Michael sat in his car for 10 minutes, gathering courage. What did you say to the daughter you'd lost? How did you explain 22 years of absence? How did you apologize for doubting her when she'd done nothing wrong? Finally, he forced himself out of the car and walked up the cracked concrete path to the front door. His heart hammered so hard he thought it might break through his ribs. He knocked. Silence. Then footsteps. The door opened a crack. Security chain still attached. Valerie's face appeared in the gap, her eyes red from crying. When she saw him, they widened in shock. Mr. Sullivan, what are you... How did you... Please, Michael said, his voice rough. Please, just give me 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. I don't think that's a good idea. Valerie, please, I know I don't deserve it. I know I hurt you, but there are things you need to know. Things I should have told you weeks ago. She stared at him for a long moment, indecision flickering across her face. Then, slowly, she closed the door to remove the chain and opened it wider. 5 minutes, she said. Thank you. She led him into a small living room that smelled faintly of lavender and old fabric. The furniture was worn but clean. Everything neat and carefully arranged. Photos lined the mantel. Valerie at various ages with an older woman Michael recognized from Robert's files. Teresa, the woman who'd taken his daughter and raised her as her own. Valerie didn't offer him a seat. Just stood with her arms crossed, defensive. Talk, she said. Michael took a breath. The documents Veronica showed me, the ones that said you researched me before the gala, they were forgeries, professional ones, but fake. You were telling the truth. You didn't know who I was. Valerie's arms dropped slightly. How do you know they were fake? My attorney traced them back to Veronica. She paid someone to create them. Why would she do that? Because she knew the truth. About you. About who you really are. Michael pulled the DNA report from his jacket pocket and held it out. Before I offer you this job, I had Robert run a DNA test. I took a sample from a glass you used. I know I should have asked permission, but I had to know. Valerie took the paper with shaking hands. Her eyes scanned the technical jargon, the percentages, the conclusion at the bottom. Her face went pale. 99,097% compatibility. She read aloud. Father and daughter. This doesn't make sense. Your name isn't Valerie Dalton, it's Isabella Sullivan. You're my daughter. You were kidnapped 22 years ago from our ranch in Montana. You were 6 years old. Valerie sank onto the couch, the paper falling from her hands. No, that's not. I would remember. You were traumatized. The doctor said you went nonverbal for months. Your mind blocked it out to protect you. My mother, Teresa, she said I was abandoned, that the orphanage found me. Teresa was paid $50,000 by my sister Veronica to take you, to make sure you never came back. Veronica orchestrated your kidnapping to destroy me emotionally so she could take over the family business. Valerie looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. You're saying my entire life is a lie. No. Michael knelt in front of her, desperate to make her understand. Teresa loved you. That was real. The life you built, the person you became, that's real. But you had another life before that. A mother who died grieving for you. A father who never stopped searching. This is insane. You're insane. But she was looking at the DNA report again, her hands trembling. I know how it sounds, but Valerie, Isabella, there's more. Do you remember the song you played at the gala? La Noche Serena? I've always known it, because I taught it to you when you were 5 years old. My grandmother sang it to me, and I sang it to you. It was never published, never recorded. The only people who knew it were family. That's why I reacted the way I did when I heard you play it. Because nobody outside our family should have known that melody. Valerie stood abruptly, pacing. The dreams I have. The garden with apple trees. Our ranch in Montana. You used to play there every weekend. The voice calling me something. A name I can't quite hear. My little star. That's what I called you. Because you are, the brightest thing in my universe. She stopped pacing and looked at him. Really looked at him. Searching his face for lies she desperately wanted to find but couldn't. The birthmark, she whispered. Behind my ear, Teresa said it was unique, crescent-shaped, like a tiny moon. I noticed it the day you were born. Valerie touched the spot behind her left ear, her breathing shallow. I don't know what to do with this. How am I supposed to? You don't have to do anything right now. I'm not here to force you into being someone you don't remember being. His voice broke. I just needed you to know the truth, and I needed to apologize. For what? For doubting you. For believing Veronica's lies. For letting you walk out of that office thinking you'd done something wrong when you were innocent. You deserved better from me. You deserved trust and belief. And I failed you. Just like I failed you 22 years ago when I couldn't protect you from Veronica. Valerie wiped her eyes. You didn't know. How could you have known your own sister would... She couldn't finish the sentence. I should have seen it, should have suspected, but I was blind. Michael stood, giving her space. Veronica was arrested this afternoon. There's evidence, bank records, Teresa's journal, everything. She's going to prison for what she did. Good, Valerie said quietly. Then, softer, Teresa wrote about it. Apparently, she documented everything. Guilt, maybe, or insurance. The police have it now. Valerie walked to the mantel and picked up a photograph of Teresa. She was good to me, whatever she did before. Whatever money she took, she loved me, I know she did. I believe that, Michael said. I think she regretted her part in it. The song, the violin, the stories she told you about family who loved you from far away. Those were her ways of leaving breadcrumbs, making sure you'd find your way back someday. And now I have. Valerie set down the photo and turned to face him. So, what happens now? That's up to you. If you want me to leave and never contact you again, I'll respect that. If you want time to process everything, I'll wait. If you want to try, slowly, carefully, to build something, I'm here. Whatever you need. She studied him for a long moment. I need proof, not just DNA. I need to see photos, documents, something that shows me who I was. I have boxes of everything. Baby pictures, school records, medical files, videos. It's all yours, all of it. And if I see all that and I still don't remember, if I'm still just Valerie, then you're still my daughter. Memory doesn't change DNA. It doesn't change the fact that I've loved you every single day for 22 years. Even when I thought you were gone. Valerie's face crumpled. I don't know how to be Isabella. Michael crossed the room and slowly, carefully, pulled her into his arms. She stiffened at first, then collapsed against him, sobbing. "You don't have to be," he whispered into her hair. "You just have to be you. That's all I've ever wanted." They stood there for a long time, father and daughter, strangers and family all at once, holding on to each other like lifelines in a storm. Outside, the Santa Fe sunset painted the sky in shades of purple and gold, and somewhere in the distance, a violin played. Valerie didn't sleep that night. She sat in Teresa's old armchair, the DNA report in her lap, staring at the ceiling until dawn painted the windows gold. Michael had left around midnight, promising to return in the morning with the boxes he'd mentioned. Photo albums, home videos, evidence of a life she couldn't remember. Part of her wanted to run, pack the car and drive until she hit an ocean. Leave all of this. Michael, Isabella, the impossible truth. Behind her, but another part, the part that had always felt like something was missing, kept her rooted to that chair. At 7 a.m., she made coffee and sat at Teresa's kitchen table. The wood was scarred from years of use, marked with rings from hot cups and scratches from sewing projects. How many mornings had Teresa sat here, carrying the weight of what she'd done? How many times had she looked at Valerie and seen not her daughter, but someone else's child? A knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. Michael stood on the porch holding 3 cardboard boxes, his face haggard like he hadn't slept either. Behind him, Robert Hayes carried 2 more. "I hope this isn't too early," Michael said. Valerie stepped aside. "Come in." They set the boxes in the living room. Robert nodded politely and excused himself, giving them privacy. Michael stood awkwardly in the center of the room, hands in his pockets. "I didn't know which ones to bring," he said, "so I brought everything I could fit in the car. There's more at home. But I thought—" He stopped, looking lost. "It's okay," Valerie said quietly. "Should we start?" Michael opened the first box with careful hands. Like it contained something sacred, he pulled out a photo album, its cover worn soft with age, and held it out to her. Valerie sat on the couch and opened it. The first page showed a newborn wrapped in pink blankets, impossibly tiny, eyes closed. Written beneath in careful handwriting, "Isabella Marie Sullivan, born March 3rd, 7 B's 2 A's, our little miracle. You were early," Michael said, sitting beside her but not too close. 3 weeks. Your mother was terrified, but you came out screaming like you were angry at the world for rushing you." Valerie traced her finger over the photo. That baby felt like a stranger, but something in her chest tightened. She turned the page. More photos. A woman with kind eyes and dark hair holding the baby, radiating joy. A man, younger Michael, less worn, grinning like he'd won the lottery. "That's Claire," Michael said softly. "Your mother, she was the strongest person I ever knew, until she wasn't." They went through the album page by page. Isabella at 6 months, covered in mashed carrots. Isabella at 1 year, taking her first steps. Isabella at 2, playing in a sprinkler. Each photo came with a story Michael told in quiet detail, his voice thick with memory. "You were fearless," he said. "Climbed everything. Trees, furniture, people. Your mother used to joke that she needed a leash. One time at the park, you climbed to the top of the slide and just stood there. Arms spread wide, yelling, 'I'm flying!' Nearly gave me a heart attack." Valerie found herself smiling. "Was I always this reckless?" "Always drove us crazy." Michael's expression softened. "But God, you were happy. So happy it was contagious when you laughed." Everyone in the room couldn't help but laugh too. They moved to the second box, home videos on old DVDs. Michael pulled out a laptop from his car and set it up on the coffee table. The first video showed a little girl in a yellow dress running through a garden, the garden from Valerie's dreams. Apple trees lined the edges, white flowers scattered across the grass. The girl's laughter rang out crystal clear. "Come back here, you little escape artist," Claire's voice called from behind the camera. "Can't catch me, Mama," the girl shouted, spinning in circles. Then Michael appeared on screen, scooping her up and swinging her around. "Gotcha!" the girl shrieked with delight. "Again, again!" Valerie watched, transfixed. That little girl's voice, her mannerisms, the way she tilted her head when she laughed. It was eerily familiar, like watching a stranger who somehow knew all your secrets. They watched video after video. birthday parties, Christmas mornings, a day at the beach where Isabella built sandcastles and chased seagulls, and then one that made Michael's hand pause on the keyboard. "This is the last one we have," he said quietly. From the ranch, 2 days before. He pressed play. 6-year-old Isabella sat on the porch steps holding a small red violin, her tongue poking out in concentration as she drew the bow across strings. The sound was clumsy, unpracticed, but recognizable. "La noche serena." "That's beautiful, sweetheart," Claire's voice said from behind the camera. "Daddy taught me." Isabella beamed at the camera. "He said it's a secret song, just for our family." "That's right. Little star," Michael's voice came from off-screen. "Just for us." The video ended. Valerie sat frozen, tears streaming down her face. That melody, the one she'd known her entire life, the one that had brought her to Michael's gala. It wasn't magic or coincidence. It was memory. "I played that song," she whispered. "At the orphanage when I was scared. Teresa used to ask where I learned it, and I could never tell her because I didn't know. But I knew it, even when I forgot everything else. I knew that song, because I taught you," Michael said, his own voice breaking. "Because even when trauma took your memories, music survived, love survived." Valerie looked at him, really looked at him, seeing past the polished businessman to the father who'd lost everything, the father who'd spent 20 years searching, the father who'd driven 5 hours in the middle of the night because she'd run away. "I want to try," she said suddenly. "Try what?" "This. Us. I don't remember being Isabella, and maybe I never will, but I remember that song. I remember the dreams. And when I look at these photos, I feel something, like déjà vu but deeper, like my body remembers even if my brain doesn't." Michael's eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to force it. I'm not forcing anything. I'm choosing. There's a difference." She reached out and took his hand. The first time she'd voluntarily touched him. "You're my father. The DNA proves it. These photos prove it. My heart is starting to believe it. So let's try, slowly, carefully, but let's try." "Okay," Michael breathed. "Okay." They sat there for a moment, hands clasped, the weight of 22 years settling into something that might someday feel like peace. "Can I ask you something?" Valerie said. "Anything. Will you take me to her? To my mother's grave?" Michael nodded, unable to speak. 2 days later, they stood in a cemetery outside of Boston, wind rustling through perfectly manicured grass. Claire Sullivan's headstone was simple white marble with an inscription, "Beloved wife and mother, forever in our hearts." Valerie knelt and placed the bouquet of white roses Michael had bought. Her fingers traced the engraved letters of her mother's name. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry I didn't come back, that you died not knowing I was alive, that you spent years hurting because of me." "It wasn't because of you," Michael said gently. "It was because of Veronica, because of circumstances beyond your control. Your mother wouldn't want you carrying that guilt." "How do you know?" "Because I knew her. She loved you more than her own life. And if she were here right now, she'd just be grateful you're home, that you're safe, that you're okay." Valerie wiped her eyes. "Do you think she can hear us?" "I like to think so." "Then I want to tell her something." Valerie placed her hand on the cold marble. "I'm home, Mama. I don't remember everything yet, but I'm home, and I'm going to make you proud. I promise." Michael knelt beside her and added his own hand to the stone. "We both will." They stayed there for a long time, father and daughter, saying goodbye to the woman who'd connected them. When they finally stood to leave, Valerie slipped her hand into Michael's. "What now?" she asked. "Now we go home, and we start figuring out what comes next. Together." "Together," Valerie echoed, as they walked back to the car. The sun broke through the clouds, casting everything in golden light, and for the first time in 22 years, Michael Sullivan felt something he'd forgotten existed: hope. 3 months later, the concert hall in downtown Boston gleamed under evening lights. People in elegant attire filed through the doors, chattering about the event, a memorial concert honoring Claire Sullivan, with proceeds going to organizations supporting missing children and their families. Backstage, Valerie stood in front of a mirror, smoothing down the emerald dress Michael had insisted on buying her. It felt strange, wearing something so expensive, strange but not wrong, like trying on a life that was simultaneously foreign and familiar. "You look beautiful," Michael said from the doorway. He wore a tuxedo, his silver hair combed back, looking every bit the distinguished businessman, but his eyes were soft, vulnerable in a way they'd never been during those first weeks at Sullivan Hotels. "I'm nervous," Valerie admitted. "What if I mess up? What if you won't?" He crossed the room and placed his hands gently on her shoulders. "And even if you do, it doesn't matter. Your mother would just be proud that you're here, that you're trying." Over the past 3 months, they'd been building something, not forcing memories that might never return, but creating new ones. Weekly dinners where Michael taught her about the family she'd lost. Walks through Boston Common, where he'd point out places they'd visited when she was small. Therapy sessions where doctors helped her process trauma she couldn't consciously recall, but that lived in her body nonetheless. She'd moved into a guest house on Michael's property, not the main mansion, which felt too overwhelming, but a cozy cottage by the garden from her dreams. She'd spent hours there, playing violin among the apple trees, letting muscle memory guide her fingers through melodies she somehow knew. The nightmares had started too. Fragments of that day, 22 years ago, breaking through in jagged pieces, being grabbed, a car, crying, then nothing until the orphanage. Her therapist said it was her mind's way of processing, of slowly unsealing what had been locked away for survival. Michael had held her through the worst of them, stroking her hair and humming La Noche Serena until she fell back asleep. "Is Robert here?" Valerie asked, checking her reflection one more time. "Front row. He wouldn't miss this." Michael paused. "Veronica's sentencing was this morning." Valerie turned. "And 25 years, federal prison, no possibility of parole for at least 15. His expression was complicated. Satisfaction mixed with sadness. "It's over, really over." "Good." Valerie had watched parts of the trial on TV. Veronica's lawyers had tried everything. Plea deals, insanity defenses, claims of diminished capacity. But Teresa's journal had been too damning, the evidence too solid. The jury had deliberated less than 4 hours when the verdict was read. Veronica had looked directly at the camera and mouthed, "I'm sorry." Whether to Michael or Valerie or herself, no one could say. Valerie found she couldn't hate her aunt, couldn't summon the rage that felt appropriate, just a tired sadness for how much damage one person's jealousy had caused. "Are you ready?" Michael asked. Valerie picked up her violin, not the battered instrument from her Santa Fe days, but a professional grade one Michael had given her. She'd protested the expense, but he'd insisted, "You deserve the best," he'd said. "You've always deserved the best." "Ready," she said. The concert hall was packed. Valerie peeked through the curtain and saw hundreds of faces. Business associates, family friends, journalists covering the story that had captivated the nation. The girl who came back, the headlines called her. A father's 20-year search ends in miracle. The attention was overwhelming, but tonight wasn't about her. Tonight was about Claire. Michael walked onto the stage first, to thunderous applause. He stood at the podium, hands gripping the edges, clearly fighting emotion. "Thank you all for coming," he began. 22 years ago, I lost 2 people I loved. My daughter Isabella disappeared, and 5 years later, my wife Claire died of a broken heart. I spent 2 decades believing they were both gone forever, that grief and loss had won. His voice cracked, and he paused to collect himself. But last year, through what I can only call divine intervention, Isabella came back, not with her memories intact, not as the 6-year-old girl who disappeared, but as a remarkable young woman named Valerie Dalton, who'd built a life from nothing, who'd survived trauma that would have destroyed most people, who'd kept playing a melody her father taught her even when she couldn't remember his face. Tears streamed down his cheeks now, and he didn't bother wiping them. Tonight, we honor Claire, the woman who never stopped believing, who died without knowing. Our daughter survived, but who, I believe, somehow knew in her heart that Isabella was out there somewhere. This concert is for her, and every penny raised will go to help other families who are still searching, still hoping, still refusing to give up. The audience erupted in applause. Michael gestured to the wings, and Valerie walked out. The spotlight was blinding. For a moment she froze, panic rising. Too many people, too much attention, too much pressure. Then she saw Michael's face, proud, loving, believing in her. She lifted the violin to her shoulder and closed her eyes. The first notes of La Noche Serena floated through the hall, pure and clear. The audience fell silent, entranced. Valerie let the music flow through her, not thinking, not remembering, just feeling. Each note was a prayer, each phrase a conversation with the mother she'd never fully known. As she played, memories flickered, not the traumatic ones from therapy, but gentler images. A woman's laugh, soft hands braiding hair, a lullaby sung in the dark. Whether they were real memories or wishful constructions, Valerie couldn't say, but they felt true. They felt like love. The final note hung in the air for an eternal moment before fading to silence. Then the applause came like thunder. People rose to their feet, some crying, all moved. Valerie opened her eyes and saw Michael standing too, clapping with tears streaming down his face. She walked to the podium, and he pulled her into a tight embrace. "She heard you," he whispered. "I know she did. I hope so," Valerie whispered back. Michael stepped back and addressed the crowd one more time. "Ladies and gentlemen, my daughter Valerie Sullivan." The name felt strange and right all at once. She'd legally changed it last month, not abandoning Dalton but adding Sullivan, honoring both the woman who'd raised her and the family she'd been born into. "Thank you," she said into the microphone, voice shaking. "I don't have many memories of my mother, but my father has told me stories about her kindness, her strength, her unwavering love, and I've seen that same love in him these past months, as he's helped me navigate this impossible situation." She looked at Michael. "I may not remember being Isabella. I may never fully remember, but I know I'm your daughter. I know you spent 20 years searching for me, and I know that from this moment forward, I'm not going to waste another second of the time we have together." Michael joined her at the microphone. "For 20 years, people told me to move on, to accept that Isabella was gone, to stop hoping for miracles, but I couldn't, and I'm grateful I didn't, because sometimes," his voice broke with emotion, "sometimes miracles do happen. Sometimes the lost get found. Sometimes broken melodies become whole again." He took Valerie's hand and raised it high. "My daughter is home." The applause was deafening. Later that night, after the crowds dispersed and the hall emptied, Michael and Valerie stood alone on the stage. The lights were dim now, the space quiet. "How are you feeling?" Michael asked. "Exhausted, overwhelmed, but good." She smiled. "Really good. Claire would have loved this. Loved you. I wish I could have known her. You did. For 6 years you knew her. And maybe someday, those memories will come back. But even if they don't," he cupped her face gently, "even if they don't, she's still part of you. In your kindness, your strength, your music. She lives on in you." Valerie felt tears well up. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up. For finding me. For accepting that I might never be the daughter you remember but loving me anyway. You are exactly the daughter I remember," Michael said firmly. "Time changed you. Circumstances changed you. But the essence, the spark that made you Isabella, it's still there. I see it every day." They walked out of the concert hall together, arm in arm, father and daughter. Outside, the Boston night was clear and cold. Stars scattered across the sky like diamonds. "What now?" Valerie asked. The same question she'd asked at the cemetery months ago. Michael smiled. "Now we live. We build memories. We help other families find their miracles. And we honor the people we've lost by refusing to waste the time we have. Together, together." As they walked toward the car, Valerie hummed La Noche Serena softly,